morning, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Unlike Other Nations, a new radio show with the Coys brothers. I'm Father Tom Coys.
And I'm John Coys.
Good morning, everyone. This is the Sunday after Thanksgiving. I hope you're having a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend. And it gives us a chance to talk about some things different, not so political today, but something that certainly I'm thankful for. And that is my priesthood, and
Tom, we're gonna do something a little unorthodox, given the show's history so far. I'm just going to interview you. I'm going to talk to you about your priesthood, and all things related to that.
I'll do my best.
Very good. Not that like we haven't talked about these kind of things before, but we're going to share it with a little wider audience this morning.
Absolutely.
Let me start out with some real simple, basic biographical stuff for you. Where are you serving as pastor now? How long you've been there?
I'm in Chicago. I'm on the south side in an area that is mostly Hispanic, Mexican now. It's called Immaculate Conception Church. Mm-hmm. If anybody knows the city of Chicago, there's a big high school called Kelly High School right down the street from us. Mm-hmm. It used to be, actually, it was somewhat famous when Pope John Paul II celebrated a Mass at a Polish church. Five Holy Martyrs is right next door. Our neighborhood was heavily Polish and heavily Lithuanian. Some of the back of the yards stories of the Lithuanians working in the stockyards is the history of our neighborhood. But that's all gone. It's all in the past. So if anyone's in the neighborhood on a Sunday morning, please do stop in and join us for worship.
It's a wonderful liturgy. I've been there many times. Tell me quickly about your previous assignments. Someone may know you from those.
I was at St. Pancratius, not far from where I am now. I was also at St. Bede the Venerable on the south side of Chicago. I was also at St. Albert the Great in Burbank. I was at St. Jane de Chantal in Chicago. I went through the seminary system of Chicago. There was a high school called Quigley, which no longer exists. It's a college called
Quigley
Niles
South.
College.
Quigley still exists, right? They closed Quigley South,
and they closed Quigley North as well.
They did North.
Yeah,
okay.
They couldn't make it happen. Okay. There's something called the Quigley program for high school students who may be considering priesthood. But they go to regular high schools and what have you. Okay. I did study at the Catholic University in Washington, D.C., where I studied philosophy and was introduced to some of the amazing Catholic writers and many of the great philosophical thinkers, Catholic, atheists, and all the rest combined.
Okay. So how long have you been a priest?
I'm celebrating 25 years this year,
25.
Actually.
And you're younger than me. Okay.
You have a wedding anniversary, but I think you're a bit behind me on that.
Yes, indeed.
John's lovely wife, Pat. Hope you're listening out there.
She usually does. Tom, let me ask you, when did you first realize you had a calling to the priesthood? Can you identify that?
It's very difficult to pinpoint exactly because I thought about it a lot when I was a kid. I thought about more as I was growing up. But then as life introduces you to many different things, the calling came in and out. It's somewhat like tuning in a radio station with one of those hand knobs. You know, if you can't just push the buttons in, you have to fine tune it. You have to get it in. So sometimes when I'm asked that, I say, I knew I was going to be a priest the day I became a priest. I say that because sometimes when you go through the seminary, I always wanted to be a priest, but I have to confess that there were some questions that came into my mind, and I wasn't sure if that was my calling. I said yes, and I was determined to follow this calling, and it's been a blessing. It's been a real blessing. It's a tremendous opportunity to serve God in this way.
I know of some of the things you're passionate about, being your brother. We chat about religion and politics and issues often. But share with the listeners those 3 or 4 major things that you're very passionate about in your priesthood.
Yeah. Let me put it in one context like this, is that I have a strong sense of God's moral plan. I do sense that the world gets off the track and doesn't follow the commandments. And therefore, a great part of my vocation is in a sense, trying to show the light on a road, and yet at the same time realizing that I myself have fallen off that road, and I'm not the perfect example, but I think of my vocation started with that sense of making the world a better place, which probably a lot of guys, any vocation starts with that.
Yes.
But in saying that, I want to thank one of the great ministers that I was listening to WYLL during the week, as I often do. Mm-hmm. And gosh, I wish I remember his name right now. It escapes me. But he had a great quote, and it's affected me, and I'm meditating a lot, and it's a good reason to explain what my priesthood and what our faith is all about, because he capsulized something by saying, Christianity is good news, not good advice. And what do you mean by that? There's an important part of our work that is telling people how to live. Good advice. What's going on? Sure. This is what you should do. This is what you shouldn't do. Correcting the lost and wayward folk. Mm-hmm. We all have that sense. However, to realize the essence of Christianity is not just giving good advice on how to live the right way, because we all know that we can get off the track. And there's many people who have been very bad, who can be good Christians, turn into good Christians. You can't be very bad in a moral sense and be a good Christian at the same sense, at the same time in the same sense. But there's a sense of Christianity that is this proclamation of reality that there is a heaven, there's a purification that we need to go through. Mm-hmm. And there's a hell, there's an afterlife. And this truth, this reality, forces us, makes us, helps us, builds our moral sense. So I guess what I'm saying is that there's a moral sense to our Christianity, but you cannot equate the two. And that little phrase captures it in a beautiful way. Christianity is good news, not good advice. Because I became a priest. I want to share good advice, but I've now, as I've gotten older and I've understood life better, that more at the core and the center of our church's proclamation is the proclamation of the truth that God exists, that there is a heaven, there's a hell, that there's a judgment, that heaven is a great paradise, hell is a wicked existence.
And the good news, am I right? That Christ came to proclaim. That's what we embrace as Christians.
Christ as the Redeemer opened this door to us to see reality more clearly. Well, of course, the Jewish people and many religions do believe in a heaven, obviously, a life after death. But the uniqueness of Christianity takes that truth and incarnates it into a greater perfection of love. You said, when did I start thinking about the priesthood? Mm-hmm. And I have to confess, I started thinking about the priesthood when I started going to daily Mass. Mm. If you remember when we were boys, we both were altar boys.
Yes.
And for some reason, I accepted the offer to serve Mass for a lot of my friends when they wanted to give up their Mass. And
especially that 6:30 Mass in the morning, boy, that was hard to get up for.
6:30, and walking to church in the dark to serve Mass. I think God worked on my heart and soul. And good old Father John Brown, who God bless his soul, he made the praying at Mass something so real, and he made it like an encounter with Jesus Christ in a way that few others were able to do.
So would you say Father John Brown was one of your earlier influences?
Heroes.
That led you?
Absolutely. absolutely.
To the ministry.
Also, I have to mention we have two uncles that are priests, and they affected me beautifully. One deceased, right? Father Ray Scriba and Father Dick Scriba, marvelous guys that gave their heart and soul, and to them I'm very, very grateful.
Right. Let me bring you back to the little biographical sketch. Your current assignment, you mentioned, was our Immaculate Conception in Chicago. How does that parish differ from the previous ones you've been at?
Oh, very much so. It's I feel like a missionary. A missionary is someone who goes into another culture to try to bring Christ. And I had to go into another culture by learning Spanish.
Yeah, you're fluent in Spanish now.
Sí, señor.
Sí, señor.
And it is amazing. However, it's not. It's going into a culture that's very Christ-centered and believing.
Yes.
So as I try to bring Christ to them, they bring Christ to me very, very powerfully. There's a great faith there. It's a challenge, though, and perhaps we can, after the break, we can talk about some of those challenges and blessings, because there is a culture conflict. And one of my goals, one of my missions, I'd like to help them be strong believers and help them help us make this country a better place. And for some, it's very difficult. There's a split loyalty, and hopefully Jesus will lead us to the right way.
We'll take that up in the second half.
Thank you. Stay tuned, my friends.